¿Qué onda, gente? ¿Cómo están? Bienvenidos. Toca volver a apagar todas las compus. ¡Vamos, pibes! Tururururururu.
What could it mean?
Ah,
Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
ah. Ya no salió ninguna, ¿no? Raro.
When Stanley came to a set of two open doors, he entered the door on his left.
Ahora sí tengo que entrar por aquí. Ya no había ningún camino extra, ¿no? Del otro lado. ¿Y tú, LAnzt, ya pudiste resolver? Yo
Yet
me la
there
paso
was not a
resolviendo,
single
rey.
person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office, hoping he might find an answer there.
Ok. Aquí recuerdo.
Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
Aquí puedes obedecer. Nos vemos. Hasta luego, soy libre. Botón. No hace nada. Ahí no hay nada. Aquí no hay nada. Un carro.
But Stanley just couldn't do it. He considered the possibility of facing his boss, admitting he had left his post during work hours. He might be fired for that. And in such a competitive economy, why had he taken that risk? All because he believed
raro.
everyone had vanished? His boss would think he was crazy. And then something occurred to Stanley. Maybe, he thought to himself, maybe I am crazy. All of my co-workers blinking mysteriously out of existence in a
La misma
single
habitación,
moment
¿eh?
for no reason at all. None of it made any logical sense.
1, 2,
And as Stanley
B4.
pondered this, he began to make other strange observations. For example, why couldn't he see his feet when he looked down? Why did doors close automatically behind him wherever he went? And for that matter, these rooms were starting to look pretty familiar. Were they simply repeating? No, Stanley said to himself, this is all too strange. This can't be real.
What?
And at last, he came to the
1, 2,
conclusion that
B4.
it had been on the tip of his tongue. He just hadn't found the words for it. I'm dreaming, he yelled. This is all a dream.
Ah,
Oh, what a relief Stanley felt to have finally found an answer, an explanation. His co-workers weren't actually gone. He wasn't going to lose his job. He wasn't crazy after all. And he thought to himself, I suppose I'll wake up soon. I'll have to go back to my boring real-life job pushing buttons.
what?
I may as well enjoy this while I'm still lucid. So, he imagined himself flying and began to gently float above the ground.
What the fuck?
Then he imagined himself soaring through space on a magical star field, and it too appeared. It was so much fun, and Stanley marveled that he had still not woken up. How was he remaining so lucid? And then perhaps the strangest question of them all entered Stanley's head. One he was amazed he hadn't asked himself sooner. Why is there a voice in my head
Exactamente.
dictating everything that I'm doing and
¿Quién
thinking?
eres y qué quieres?
Now the voice was describing itself being considered by Stanley, who found it particularly strange. I'm dreaming about a voice describing me, thinking about how it's describing my thoughts, he thought. And while he thought it all very odd and wondered if this voice spoke to all people in their dreams, the truth was that, of course, this was not a dream. How could it be? Was Stanley simply deceiving himself, believing that if he's asleep, he doesn't have to take responsibility for himself? Stanley is as awake right now as he's ever been in his life. Now, hearing the voice speak these words was quite a shock to Stanley. After all,
¿Pero
he
por qué
could
es ese
assume beyond a doubt
1,
that
2,
this was, in
B4?
fact, a dream. Did the voice not see him float and make the magical stars just a moment ago? How else would the voice explain all that? This voice was a part of himself too. Surely, if he could just... He would prove it. He would prove that he was in control, that this was a dream.
Ah,
So he closed his eyes gently, and he invited himself to wake up. He felt the cool weight of the blanket on his skin, the
raro.
press of the mattress on his back, the fresh air of a world outside this one. Let me wake up, he thought to himself. I'm through with this dream. I wish it to be over. Let
1,
me go
2,
back to my
B4.
job. Let me continue pushing the buttons. Please, it's all I want. I want my apartment and my wife and my job.
Pero no tengo
All I
esposa.
want is my life exactly the way it's always been. My life is normal. I am normal. Everything will be fine. I am okay.
Esto está bien random, gente. Volví a la oficina, ¿verdad?
Stanley began screaming. Please, someone wake me up. My name
What?
is Stanley. I have a boss. I have an office. I am real. Please, just someone tell me I am real. I must be real. I must be. Can anyone hear my voice? Who am I? Who am I?
1, 2, 4, pues, gente.
Everything went black.
What the fuck?
This is the story of a woman named Mariella.
¿Qué?
Mariella woke up on a day like any other. She arose, got dressed, gathered her belongings, and walked to her place of work. But on this particular day, her walk was interrupted by the body of a man who had stumbled through town talking and screaming to himself, and then collapsed dead on the sidewalk. And
Me
although she
mató a
was
la
soon turned
verga.
to go call for an ambulance, for just a few brief moments, she considered the strange man. He was obviously crazy. This much she knew. Everyone
What?
knows what crazy people look like. And in that moment, she thought to herself how lucky she was to be normal. I am sane. I am in control of my mind. I know what is real and what isn't. It was comforting to think this, and in a certain way, seeing this man made her feel better. But then she remembered the meeting she had scheduled for that day. The very important people whose impressions of her would affect her career, and by extension, the rest of her life. She had no time for this, so it was only a moment that she stood there, staring down at the body.
Estoy pensando que a lo mejor
And then she turned and ran.
lo que tengo que poner en las computadoras es el 1, 2, B4. A ver, veamos.
A soft wind blew outside and perhaps rain started, and if it did, it stopped shortly after. Stanley hoped that he would one day see weather.
Ah. Uno, 2, B4. A ver.
When Stanley came to a set
Sí,
of
sí, la de la
two
izquierda.
doors, he entered the door on his left.
Izquierda.
Yet there was not a single person here either.
Eso ya lo
Feeling a
vimos.
wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office, hoping he might. Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
Ok. Awaiting input. Input received. Ah. Van 3, ¿no?
Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. Stanley was in such a rush to get through the story as quickly as possible, he didn't even have a
Solo hizo
single
para
minute
dejar
to
del
just
adorable.
let the narrator talk. That kind of anxiety isn't healthy, so he relaxed for a few moments with some calming new age music.
What the fuck?
Feeling soothed and rejuvenated, Stanley calmly walked forward into the opened passageway.
Ok. Ahora vamos al escape. Vido. ¿Será el número de finales que hay en el juego? El número que dice esperando
Stanley walked
input.
straight ahead through the large door that read Mind Control Facility.
No.
Although this passageway had the word escape written on it, the truth was that at the end of this hall, Stanley would meet his violent death.
Ni modo. Hay que probar, mi
Behind
gente.
him was not shut. Stanley still had every opportunity to turn around and get back on track. At this point, Stanley was making a conscious, concerted effort to walk forward and willingly confront his death.
Aguante, no me importa nada. What? What the fuck?
As the machine whirred into motion and Stanley was inched closer and closer to his demise, he reflected that his life had been of no consequence whatsoever. Stanley can't see the bigger picture. He doesn't know the real story. Trapped forever in his narrow vision.
Se le echa diciendo lo que el mundo es.
Perhaps his death was of no great loss, like plucking the eyeballs from a blind man. So he resigned and
Se rindió brutal, aceptó violento final.
to his brief and shallow life. Farewell, Stanley.
Adiós, Padre Cielo que estás en el nuestro santificado. ¡Ah!
Farewell, Stanley, cried the narrator, as Stanley was led helplessly into the enormous metal jaws. In a single visceral
What?
instant, Stanley was obliterated, as the machine crushed every bone in his body, killing him instantly. And yet it would be just a few minutes before Stanley would restart the game, back in his office, as alive as ever. What exactly did the narrator think he was going to accomplish? When every path you can walk has been created for you long in advance, death becomes meaningless, making life the same. Do you see now? Do you see that Stanley was already dead from the moment he hit start?
La computadora de Stanley, el blueprint, muestra la oficina del inicio del juego. El camino de Stanley a la oficina hacia las dos puertas es la primera puerta del juego que fue construida. La sección ha sido agregada y alterada a lo largo del desarrollo. Pero the core layout remains almost. La mayoría siguen exactamente igual. Building cabinets. Office computers. Uno, dos, tres. The Office. Son los tres de diferentes, ¿no? El button zone. A selection of the sounds used through the game when buttons are pressed. Each sound is a mix of a keyboard stroke and a synthesized tone. Cada sonido es un mix of a keyboard stroke and a synthesized tone. De una tecla de teclado y un tono de sintetizador. Los créditos. ¿Qué hay? Ah. Office Clock. Post Office. Ah. Esto está muy random, mi gente. Narration Outtakes. Ivan Bryant, la voz del narrador, grabó el diálogo del juego entero. Roughly 3 separate times. En 3 tiempos separados a lo largo del desarrollo de un año. Aquí hay algunos cortes que no se aprecian en el juego final. What? I am too perdido. Underground. An early version of the underground portion of the game. Ok. Esas son las voces que nunca se usaron, ¿no? O sea, como que ahora sí salimos de una vez y para siempre. Mira aquí. De una vez y para siempre. Freedom ending. Content desk. Este no lo hemos visto, ¿eh? Freedom ending. Así en beta. Así se veía en la beta. Monitor room elevator. For a time deliberating the monitor go down the frame of the control below the players found it difficult to remember what's up. Down and place two endings together instead. Salida. Countdown room. It's an elevation of the countdown room. La sala de la cuenta abajo, pero esa no la hemos visto, ¿no? Maybe it's a mock-up. This is a level that William, the level designer, sent David as a kind of addition piece. The strength of these level got William hired to design the full game. Ok. Qué bonito está este museo, vale. A ver esto. Tiene que haber algo por aquí. The Office. Department timer. The cargo lift. The cargo lift. Ok. Meeting room. Ah, mira. Primera opción. Obey, disobey, lunch. Maintenance. Depending on how you entered. Bent. Mira este bent. Disobey long bent. Intent long to confusion ending. Me falta ese. Es layout. Ok. Pues lo que tengo que hacer es. This level in part of descending. The player will level the narration will describe the color level hat pool. Ascending. The screenshot depicts an elevation of the ending now as ascending. Only got merged to another part of the game. Que fue cortada y movida a otra parte del juego. Ascending model. Ok. Ya no puedo salir, mi gente, ya me perdí. Ah, mira, para acá, para arriba. Está muy bonito. Ok, ok. ¿Es para acá? Salida. Stanley Purple.
Oh, look at these two. How they wish to destroy
¿Cómo
one
sería
another.
destruirse entre
How
sí?
they wish to control
¿Cómo
one
desean
another.
controlar al otro?
How they both wish to be free.
¿Cómo ambos desean ser libres?
Can you see? Can you see
¿Puedes ver
how
cuánto se
much they
necesitan
need
entre
one
ellos?
another?
¿Quién es? ¿Batman y el Guasón?
Perhaps not. Sometimes these things cannot be seen.
Solo pueden ser sentidas. Claro que sí.
Listen to me. You can still save these two. You can stop the program before they both fail. Push escape and press quit. There's no other way to beat this game. As long as you move forward, you'll be walking someone else's path. Stop now and it'll be your only true
Tu única
choice.
verdadera elección.
Do choose it. Don't let time choose for you. Don't let time
What the fuck? Ay, no, tengo dudas.
Stanley had never seen the office this brightly lit. Was it a sign of something? He hoped it was. He hoped very much that it was.
Que si me salgo se va a cerrar. No puede saltar. Ahí está. Input received. Ok, ya. Nos falta uno, ¿no? Ok. Por entonces tengo que desobedecer, irme a la derecha.
Stanley came to a set of two open. This was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it.
Aquí está el
The
lunch.
lounge was sublime, a work of art. What was it about this room that called so deeply and so personally to Stanley? Its grace? Its subtle charm? No. Stanley knew it was something deeper, something darker.
¿Dónde estará?
At this point, Stanley's obsession with this room bordered on creepy and reflected poorly on his
Okay.
overall personality. It's possible that this is why everyone left.
Estoy casi seguro de que aquí había algo. Aquí estaba la ventilación, pero no la veo.
Stanley sat around waiting for more dialogue, but when a long time had passed and there was no more, he decided that the game was trying to send him a message.
Siente el mensaje.
But at last, he'd had enough of the amazing room and took the first open door on his left to get back to business.
Ok.
And so he detoured through the maintenance section, walked straight ahead to the opposite door, and got back on track.
Que está raro que... Ya.
Yet there was not a single person here
Fuck!
either.
Me equivoqué.
In a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office, hoping he might find an answer that, coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
Me equivoqué, mi gente, lo siento.
Okay, I think we all know the drill by now. Blah, blah, blah. Dark secrets, the keypad. Stanley pushes some buttons. Oh, hey, look, it's a new passageway. Quelle surprise.
Ah. Raro, ¿no? Algo está faltando aquí, ¿eh? Y no estoy seguro de qué es. Ya estoy todo paranoico, o sea, ya veo algo.
Stanley walked straight ahead through the large door that read Mind Control Facility.
Si las, li- si las, si la luz está encendida, llama al 914 inmediatamente. Ok. Está encendida, ¿qué procede, mi gente?
The lights rose on an enormous room packed with television screens. What horrible secret did this place hold? Stanley thought to himself. Did he have the strength to find out?
No, no lo tengo. Pero pues aquí andamos, mi gente. Está raro.
Now the monitors jumped to life, their true nature revealed. Each bore the number of an employee in the building, Stanley's co-workers. The lives of so many individuals reduced to images on a screen, and Stanley, one of them, eternally monitored in this place where freedom meant nothing.
Dos.
This mind control facility, it was too
600 y fire it.
It couldn't be true. Had Stanley really been under someone's control all this time? Was this the only reason he was happy with his boring job? That his emotions had been manipulated to accept it blindly?
Fire it.
No, he refused to believe it. He
Hace rato no había los
couldn't
que
accept
hicieron
it.
Fire It, ¿no?
His own life in someone else's control? Never. It was unthinkable, wasn't it? Was it even possible? Had he truly spent his entire life utterly blind to the world? But here was the proof. The heart of the operation. Controls labeled with emotions.
0142.
Or sad, or content. Walking, eating, working. all of it monitored and commanded
Todo
from
es
this
uno.
very place. And as the cold reality of his past began to sink in, Stanley decided that this machinery would never again exert its terrible power over another
Y la
human,
waiting.
for he would dismantle the controls once and for all. Oh, Stanley, you didn't just activate the controls, did you? After they
Sí.
kept you enslaved all these years, you go and you try to take control of the machine for yourself. Is that what you wanted? Control?
Yes.
Stanley, I applaud your effort, I really do.
Necesito
But you
comprender.
need to
Es demasiado
understand,
difícil.
there's
La máquina
only
puede
so
hacer.
much that machine can do. You were supposed
Ok.
to let it go. Turn the
Apagar los controles e
off.
irte. Si quieres arrojar mi historia por su riel,
If you want to throw
sabes que
my
es algo
story
mejor
off
que eso.
track, you're going to have to do much better than that. I'm afraid you don't have nearly the power you think you do. For example, and I believe you'll find this pertinent, Stanley suddenly realized he had
Fíjate que
just
acabo de iniciar el
initiated
sistema de detonación de
Lanz's
emergencia.
emergency detonation system. In the event that this machine is activated without proper DNA identification, nuclear detonators are set to explode, eliminating the entire complex. How long until detonation then? Let's say 2 minutes. Now this is making things a little more fun, isn't it, Stanley? It's your time to shine. You are the star. It's your story now. Shape it to your heart's desires. Oh, this is much better than what I had in mind. What a shame we have so little time left to enjoy it. Mere moments until the bomb goes off. But what precious moments each one of them is. More time to talk about you, about me.
No sé qué estoy haciendo, gente.
What all this means. I barely know where to start. What's that? You'd like to know where your co-workers are? A moment of solace before you're obliterated? All right, I'm in a good mood. You're gonna die anyway. I'll tell you exactly what happened to them. I erased them. I turned off the machine.
Rojo.
I set you free. Of course, that was merely in this instance of the story. Sometimes when I tell it, I simply let you sit there in your office forever, pushing buttons endlessly and then dying alone. Other times, I let the office sink into the ground, swallowing everyone inside, or I let it burn to a crisp. I have to say this, though, this version of events has been rather amusing. Watching you try to make sense of everything and take back the control wrested away from you, it's quite rich. I almost hate to see it go. But I'm sure whatever I come up with on the next go-around will be even better. My goodness, only 34 seconds left. But I'm enjoying this so much. You know what?
Console disabled.
I'm going to put some
Press any key to send power search.
Why not? These are precious additional seconds, Stanley. Time doesn't grow on trees. Oh dear me, what's the matter, Stanley? Is it that you have no idea where you're going
Uno.
and what you're supposed to be doing right now? Or did you just assume when you saw that timer that something in this room was capable of turning it off? I mean, look at you. Running from button to button, screen to screen, clicking on every little thing in this room. These numbered
Incorrecto.
buttons. No, these colored ones. Or maybe this big red button. Or this door. Everything. anything
Rojo, verde,
something here
amarillo.
will save me. Why would you think that, Stanley? That this video game can be beaten? Won? Solved? Do you have any idea what your purpose in this place is? Stanley, you're in for quite a disappointment. But here's a spoiler for you. That timer isn't a catalyst to keep the action moving along. It's just seconds ticking away to your death. You're only still playing instead of watching a cutscene because I want to watch you for every moment that you're powerless.
3.
To see you made humble.
El 3 es azul, el primero es el clarito.
It's a tragedy. You wanted to control this world.
No, no estoy seguro,
I'm going to destroy it first, so you...
Adiós, empleados.
Take a look at the clock, Stanley. That's 30 seconds you have left to struggle. 30 seconds until a big boom and then nothing. No ending here, just you being blown to pieces. Will you cling desperately to your frail life, or will you let it go peacefully? Another choice. Make it count, or don't. It's all the same to me, all a part of the joke. And believe me, I will be laughing at every second of your inevitable life from the moment we fade in until the moment I say, happily ever after.
Al menos sacamos un final diferente.